Hello everyone, I'm Zety Reza. In this time, I will explain about the Cooperative Principle and Implicature. Let's get started. The cooperative principle is a principle in pragmatics that explains how people in a conversation strive to cooperate to make communication effective. So, these principles are aimed at ensuring that communication is smooth and effective so that the interlocutor can understand the information being conveyed. Okay, there are four maxims in cooperative principle. The first is maxim of quantity, providing sufficient information, not too little and not too much, according to the need of the conversation. And the second is maxim of quality, speaking truthfully, not saying something that is not supported by evidence or believed to be false. And the third is maxim of relevance, speaking about matters relevant to the topic of conversation, avoiding irrelevant talk. And the last is maxim of manner, speaking clearly, not ambiguously, briefly, and orderly. Okay, the example of maxim of quantity. A asks, "How long will you be in Lampung?" And B answered, "I will be in Lampung for 3 days." B provides sufficient information about the length of his stay in Lampung. And the next example of violet maxim of quantity. A asks, "How long will you be in Lampung?" And B answered, "I don't know." B doesn't provide sufficient information about the length of his stay in Lampung. Okay, the next is the example of maxim of quality. A asks, "Did you have lunch?" And B answered, "Yes, I had lunch at the restaurant earlier." B speaks honestly about whether he has lunch or not. The next is the example of violet maxim of quality. A asks, "Did you have lunch?" And B answered, "Not yet. I haven't had lunch." Thought B has already had lunch. B doesn't tell the truth about whether he has had lunch or not. Next, the example of maxim of relevance. A asks, "What are you doing today?" And B answers, "I'm working on a project at the office." B talks about things that are relevant to the topic of conversation. And next, the example of violet maxim of relevance. A asks, "What are you doing today?" And B answers, "I love eating ice cream." B doesn't talk about matter relevance to the topic of conversation. And the next is the example of maxim of manner. A asks, "How do I get to the station?" And B answered, "You can take bus number 12 from in front of the mall, then get off at the station stop." B speaks clearly and regularly about how to get to the station. And the last is the example of violet maxim of manner. A asks, "How do I get to the station?" And B answered, there's that bus. Well, you take the bus. You keep getting off at the station. Yeah, I think." B doesn't not speaking clearly and regularly about how to get to the station. Okay, now I'm gonna explain the implicature. Implicature is the meaning implied in a speech but not explicitly stated. It is a message delivered by the speaker that is not directly revealed in spoken word but can be understood through the context and principle of conversation. Simply put, an implicature is what the speaker intends, but it is not pronounced directly. Okay, There are two types implicature. The first is conversation implicature. For example, someone said, "I'm hungry." The implication is, "I wanna eat," or "Can you give me food?" The implication of conversation depends on context and sharing knowledge between the speaker and the listener. Okay, and the next is conventional implicature. For the example, someone said, "I wanna go to the beach, but it is raining." The implication contrast or contradiction between wanting to go to the beach and the rainy situation. Conventional implicatures are attached to the meaning of the word itself and are independent of context. Okay, so cooperative principle and implicature are essential in effective communication. The principle of cooperative describe how people work together in conversation by following four maxims: quantity, quality, relevance, and manner. Implicature, meanwhile, help us to understand the implied meaning in a speech that is not explicitly stated. By understanding these two concepts, we can communicate more effectively and avoid misunderstanding. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.